Pokémon. What an incredible franchise. Whether it's the mainline games, Go, or any of the spin-offs, there are tons of different options to pick from when it comes to trying to get into the series. If an RPG isn't your thing, then how about a card game, or a relaxing picture-taking game, or fucking Picross? Point is, there are many different ways to enjoy Pokemon, even if it's not through the games at all. However, despite the wide array of games under the Pokemon title, there are still some genres I wish would get explored more with the Pokemon IP, specifically in the case of fighting games. I mean, sure, we got Pokken, and then Pokken again, but these titles, while visually stellar, never really did it for me. And seeing as how they didn't put out another one in that spin-off line, I felt it was safe to say that my dreams of a 2D Pokemon-based fighter were dead. That was until I stumbled upon a little video on YouTube called PKMN CC. Sure. I was ecstatic, to say the least. Turns out, indie dev Ivan B, known for his creation of Battle Capacity, a hit fighting game back during the 2D FM era, decided that the dream of a 2D fighter with the Pokemon IP wouldn't be just a dream. And thus, he used his knowledge to create a fan game that, in my opinion, could rival the very gods. I even reached out to Ivan B and his team, Altilt and Grzwic, the main creator of the game, a developer on the game, and some of the soundtrack's producer, to get an idea of how this project started and where it's going. And they had a lot to share that I will occasionally bring up as we go through the game, with a complete story at the end. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoy this sort of content, and without further ado, this is Pokémon Close Combat. Pokémon Close Combat is a fan-made project that strives to deliver an experience similar to the ones found in arcades, and holy f*** does it deliver. You boot it up, and immediately you're hit with Pokémon Close Combat! And then you question if you should change your underwear. The game then asks if you're playing solo or versus, and no matter which you pick, you're brought to the character selection screen, and hot damn does this music go hard. Speaking of, the soundtrack for this game would be produced by two incredibly talented artists. A. Max Adams, a college student attending Berkeley College who hasn't even graduated, and the aforementioned Grzwic, a Florida-based artist who has made his remarkable musical debut through this game. This character select theme, however, was produced by Adams, and I gotta say, he killed it. For the roster, we have some good picks: Blaziken, Primeape, Toxicroak, Beware, Heracross, Mienshao, Chestnut, Balance, Great Tusk, Galarian Zapdos, Poliwhirl, that's my main and Grzwic's, Scrafty, Medicham, Breloom, Tyrogue, who can evolve during gameplay depending on how aggressive or defensive you are into either Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee, or Hitmontop, and Slitherwing. 13 characters in total, with a technical 16 being Tyrogue with its evolutions. Also, if you haven't noticed, the entire cast is made up of Pokemon who have the fighting type. Then once we pick our character, we're tasked with selecting a game mode, 3 being the Path, Event, and Training. Already my brain has exploded. Path is the single-player arcade-esque mode for those who want to test their grit, with each Pokemon getting a unique victory screen if completed, which is just mwah. Event is a fun side mode that I'm told will get a future update, but for now only houses Togeball, which reminds me a lot of the Beach Ball mode in Street Fighter 6, but better because it's Togedemaru. And Training is, well, training. Still a fantastic inclusion. Although for a fan game to have this many modes to play is insane, especially when you consider that the number of people whose job it is to implement this stuff is literally 2. 2! These guys are f***ing crazy! But for now, we'll check out the training. Whoa. Why does this game look so good? The Pokemon are so full of life, the stage has so much detail, and the animations/attacks are so cool. So all these backgrounds, animations, and art is done entirely by Ivan, which is just like, how? Moving on, this game is a 2-button fighting game, meaning there are only 2 buttons, attack and special, with a technical 3rd button being your parry cancel button. Of course, with direction, these inputs can give you different moves, and with meter, you can even EX or meter burn some of them. You hold back to block, and you can also grab, parry, dash. Do you know how fucking cool that is? I mean, sure, these are givens in fighting games, but for a project like this, I did not expect the combat to be so in-depth. Characters also have certain gimmicks, like Scrafty having a sort of RNG, thus making game knowledge important and spicing up the way you want to play. Speaking of playing though, did I also mention this game has online capabilities? Oh yeah, if you go to the top left corner of this little window here, then you can host or join an online lobby and play with your friends. It's incredible, and I'm insanely impressed. However, if I am to criticize the game a little, I think that while having an in-depth combat system is good, the game could certainly benefit from a more thorough combo list, or maybe some sort of button display that lays out the actions for you. The only reason I say this is because when I was practicing alongside my homie, I realized I kept forgetting inputs, and while the game does already have an input list, I think something that displays and dissects what moves do what could certainly improve the game overall, and the training mode. That's if I had to criticize the game though. Honestly, for a project like this, the fact that the training mode is as thorough as it already is insane. By the way, in case you haven't noticed, you're about halfway through this video, so why not consider subscribing and or leaving a like? I mean, you're still watching, right? Now that we are aware of what the game is and what it has to offer, allow me to shed a little light on the subject. As I lightly mentioned earlier, the game was originally created by Ivan B, an indie dev who has a long history with the underground fighting game community. Smogon, and Everything Competitive Pokemon Forum, held an event back in the day called Create a Pokemon, where fans would submit hybrids to be used in competitive play simulators. This is where Ivan would get his start. By using some of the hybrids made by forum members, Ivan would create a fighting game called Battle Capacity, in which you could use said hybrids and duke it out. This is also where Ivan would meet the incredibly talented Altilt, who had previously done mods for the Steam Workshop on games such as TF2. As sometime after Battle Capacity came out, Altilt went ahead and made a mod that absolutely revamped the game. Eventually, around mid to late 2020, Ivan would begin work on the project of Pokemon Close Combat, with the biggest inspiration for it being Type Wild, an older fan game with pretty much the same premise as Close Combat. A little later, this would again catch the attention of Altilt, and he offered to assist in the development of the game, to which Ivan was more than excited to accept.
What I did was I took like the characters, the Pokemon that they created, and I made a fighting game around that. And that's actually also where I met Altilt, because he took my game and he modded it and he made it like this crazy Marvel freak show. Yeah, but like later on when he found me, after I started Close Combat, like he offered to help, and I quickly snapped him up before somebody else could, because I knew he was talented.
At the time that Altilt joined, the roster was only comprised of 6 Pokemon, with the newest addition being me and Xiao. Since then, the two have been hard at work, tossing ideas back and forth, with Ivan eventually relegating most of, if not all of the programming to Altilt, and reserving himself to the sprites, animations, and stages. This would also leave the balancing of the game up to Altilt, whom of which has made an incredibly insightful video regarding balancing mistakes when making a fighting game, of which I will leave a link to in the description down below. I also asked Ivan where his inspiration came from when creating the characters for the game, and he had this to say.
Kind of depends on like how familiar I am with the Pokemon. Like stuff like Primeape, you know, I remember Primeape from the TV show, and so like I drew from that a little bit. Like characters that I'm less familiar with, like Chestnut or Galarian Zapdos, I will try to research on the internet, go through all the available information, all the available media that I can find easily, and try to piece something together of a character. But there's often a lot of guesswork in there, and I kind of like not knowing the character too well. I think it kind of gives them like a twist that like people are not necessarily expecting sometimes.
After this dynamic duo joined forces, the game really started to pick up traction, forcing the team to open a Discord server where players could join a community and truly express their enjoyment of the game, which I will also be leaving a link to in the description. 3 updates later, and the team would hold their first community pick, with Galarian Zapdos winning the poll and ultimately making it into the game, programmed by yours truly. Things were going well for the team, and soon thereafter more hands would reach out to Ivan, providing some much needed assistance with the soundtrack. Enter Max Adams and Grzwic. Together, in collaboration with Ivan, these guys would provide an original soundtrack that so hard that I seriously am shocked that this was their debut, particularly for Grzwic, who I had the pleasure of speaking with, and this is what he had to say about his inspiration for the themes.
For these tracks, what I would do is Ivan would send me a screenshot of the stage, and I would just like stare at it while writing. It's really helpful for me to see the vibes, to be able to like basically play what I would want to hear while I'm fighting on that stage.
On that track,
so,
yeah, or on the stage,
like, you mentioned Level Up Cave.
Yeah.
So it was interesting because I was going kind of based off of music that was already there, because I was making the alternates for the old stages.
Yeah.
So the original stage was a lot of drums. So I wanted to have it be like a drum focus, but then also bring in, you know, like Pokemon elements, because it is it's a Pokemon fighting game. I wanted to bring that in. And then I was also like, okay, this needs a little more sauce.
You gotta spice this up a little bit.
Yeah, I haven't seen anyone say this, but I tried to get like Monster Mash in there, like
really,
like old school like horror sounds. I don't like kind of cheesy Halloween. Yeah. So for that one in particular, I wanted like a little bit of spookiness, and then it's like kind of ambient and nice. That one was really fun to make. And then you mentioned the big event.
Yeah, the big event.
So I didn't really see. I might be wrong if Ivan listens to this and calls me out. I don't think I saw much of that stage.
Oh, okay.
The concept, he just told me the concept, it was like a game show. And originally I was going for like, I was trying to do something that was like America's Got Talent. Yeah, I couldn't come up with someone I liked, so then I was like, okay, let me make it like a kind of game show where like there's the crazy announcer. That's where I got the announcer from. I tried to bring in like those hip hop elements, and then I like to put metal and stuff, so then I brought the metal guitars in. So yeah, the inspiration for that was kind of like just the feeling of like American Ninja Warrior shows like that. where it's
Just like
kinda
a
like
main
crazy.
stage event, yeah. After these guys joined, the game really got an identity of its own, introducing songs that at times sound very Pokemon, and at other times sound like I'm fighting for my fucking life. My personal favorite track being the Big Event 2, as this track uses samples from what I assume is the anime. Overall, Pokemon Close Combat is an amazing piece of art that truly shows the talent, dedication, and charisma of the fans. With rock-solid mechanics, ways to play, and personality to boot, this game is truly a dream come true. Personally, I'm not too big on fan games, as most tend to refine the Pokemon formula, or at least generally follow it. But this game stands out as something the Pokemon Company would never do, and yet it still feels right at home using the Pokemon IP, with the characters being incredibly true to their official counterparts, at least to me. If you have a PC and haven't given this game a try yet, I eagerly push you to do so. This game is very small, so it takes no time to install, and the link to it can be found in the description of any of the videos from Capfight, the official channel. Thank you so much to the team who helped me gather this information. I've never done a project like this, so I really appreciate the patience and cooperation. Seriously. And thank you for watching this video to its end if you did. Please make sure to support these guys and this video if you enjoyed the content. And with that, I'll leave you guys with the thanks from the team. Peace.
If anyone out there is making a game and they like what they heard, please reach out. I am always available for projects,
This
no
is the
matter
guy.
how big or how small. If you have a $20 budget, we can do something.
$5 to $100
Yeah.
dollars. It doesn't, it don't matter.
Yeah, it don't matter to me. I just want to, work.
Yeah.
Do stuff.
You want that experience.
Go to our YouTube, go to our Twitter, go to our wiki, which is always being developed by a team of very dedicated, very hard-working individuals. I really love what the wiki people are doing. This project is nothing with the army of volunteers that we have around us. So I mean, I'm just so grateful that people are contributing their time to this.